Night Dusrune Vexis. The wind tasted of petrichor and old growth. Not a comforting scent, not for me. It meant the forest was aware. I'm Night Vexis, though some whisper Dusrune, when they think I can't hear. My people, the Silvani, are woven into the very fabric of this wood, each life a strand in its ancient consciousness. For generations, we've served as its silent guardians. My grandmother used to say the forest is us, and we are merely its dreaming. It was a peaceful existence, a quiet rhythm of tending to the root webs and soothing the troubled spirits of fallen trees. A simple life, lived in shadow and sunlight, where my role was clear: to listen, to wait, to protect. But peace is a fragile thing. The tremor started subtly, a shiver in the earth that most would dismiss as a distant storm. But I felt it, a discordance, a jarring note in the forest's song. Then came the blight. Not a disease, not precisely. It was a voiding, a creeping emptiness that sucked the life from the trees, leaving behind husks of grey wood and brittle leaves. Old Man Hemlock, oldest of the Silvani, said he hadn't felt such a darkness since the time of the Stone Kings, when the land itself nearly died. And then, the scouts returned, their faces etched with fear, babbling about metal birds and men who didn't breed with the forest. They were building something that hurt. I argued with the council for days. They wanted to retreat, to burrow deeper into the woods, to let the blight take its course. They believed the forest would heal itself, given time. But time was a luxury we didn't have. I had seen the way the blight spread, the way it consumed everything in its path. It wasn't a natural ailment, it was a wound, inflicted from the outside. I spoke of the metal birds, of the men who carved the earth and poisoned the streams. I reminded them of our oath, to protect the forest, not just to be within it. Finally, Old Man Hemlock, his voice raspy with age, conceded. Go, Dusrune, he said. Find the source of this darkness and silence it. But remember, you walk a path of shadows. Do not become lost within them. My journey led me to the edge of the forest, to a sprawling wound in the earth where the metal birds landed. They called it a mine. Men swarmed like insects, tearing at the land, extracting something dark and glittering from its depths. I moved like a ghost, a shadow among shadows, observing, learning. I found allies, a solitary hermit who spoke the language of stones, and a band of rebels fighting against the mining company's greed. They told me the miners were searching for Ethereum, a substance said to power their machines, but which, I knew, was the very lifeblood of the forest. They spoke of a man called Kale, the mine's overseer, a ruthless man driven by profit and ambition. He was the key. I infiltrated the mine, intending to sabotage the operation, to cut off the flow of Ethereum. But I discovered something far more terrifying than I anticipated. Kale wasn't simply mining Ethereum, he was corrupting it. He had developed a device that amplified the substance's energy, but at a terrible cost. The amplified Ethereum resonated with the forest's life force, creating a feedback loop that accelerated the blight. It wasn't just extraction, it was active destruction, a deliberate poisoning. And he wasn't alone. I overheard whispers of a shadowy organization, the Obsidian Hand, backing Kale's operation, seeking to harness the forest's energy for their own nefarious purposes. My mission had just become exponentially more dangerous. I attempted to disable Kale's device, to sever the connection between the corrupted Ethereum and the forest. But I was discovered. A fierce battle ensued, and despite my skills, my knowledge of the shadows, I was overwhelmed. Kale's security forces were too numerous, too well equipped. I managed to escape, battered and bruised, but the device remained operational. Worse, I had underestimated KO. He wasn't just a ruthless businessman, he was a skilled manipulator, and he used my attack to justify tightening security, increasing the flow of corrupted Ethereum. I had failed, and the forest was paying the price. Despair threatened to consume me. I retreated to the heart of the forest, seeking guidance from Old Man Hemlock. He listened patiently to my tale of failure, his ancient eyes filled with sorrow. "You fought bravely, Dusrune," he said. "But strength is not always found in combat. Sometimes, the greatest battles are fought within." He reminded me of the ancient Sylvani rituals, the ways to commune with the forest's consciousness, to draw strength from its depths. He showed me a hidden path, a way to access the forest's core, to attempt a risky ritual that might sever the connection between the corrupted Ethereum and the land. It was a desperate gamble, one that could either save the forest or destroy it, and me along with it. I had to choose, succumb to despair or risk everything. I journeyed to the forest's core, guided by the whispers of ancient trees and the murmur of hidden streams. The ritual was arduous, demanding every ounce of my strength and focus. I delved into the forest's consciousness, confronting its pain, its fear, its rage. I channeled its energy, weaving a protective barrier around the land, severing the connection between the corrupted Ethereum and its life force. Then, I confronted KO. I didn't fight him with weapons, but with the forest itself. I summoned roots to bind him, vines to entangle his machines, and the very earth to swallow his greed. He raged, he threatened, but he was powerless against the fury of a wounded land. In the end, he was left broken and defeated, his operation in ruins. The blight began to recede, the grey husks of trees slowly regaining their vibrant green hue. The forest was healing, though the scars remained, a reminder of the darkness that had threatened to consume it. The obsidian hand retreated into the shadows, their plans foiled, but their presence lingered, a warning of future threats. I returned to my people, not as a warrior, but as a guardian, a listener, a protector. The forest had taught me a valuable lesson: true strength lies not in conquest, but in connection. And as I stood among the trees, listening to their ancient song, I knew that my vigil was far from over. The forest would always need its guardians, and I, Knight Vexis, Dusrune, would always be there to answer its call.